So welcome everybody. This is a very basic course in marketing. And for those of you who've been in business for a while, there may be some information there that you already know or that you already use, but I do hope that you pick up some new ideas and some new thoughts. What I found in working with this community, not iBart community, but the hypnosis community and the entrepreneur community, is that we really think that everyone will be knocking down the doors to come to see us. They'll just want our business, and that's one on the one hand. On the other hand, I hear, which always makes me laugh, I feel terrible having to ask for money for what I do. Anybody here do that? Anybody? You do? Well, let me tell you, speak to your bank manager and ask him if he thinks you should feel terrible asking for money for what you do. Okay, somebody has to pay the rent, somebody has to buy the food, and you have to have a roof over your head so you can do the work. Plus, it's an exchange of energy. So when it's an unequal relationship, we know energetically how harmful that can be. So for those of you who are worried or uncomfortable at asking for money for doing the work, please rethink that you want an equal balance of energy. You want it to be, you do this and you get paid for that. If on one hand you decide that there's someone that really, really, really needs you, but can't afford you, then you ask them to do something in kind. Excuse me, it has to be equal. Otherwise, you lose out. First of all, you lose out personally because it leaches energy from you. You may not realize it right away, but it leaches energy from you energetically and physically. Plus, being pragmatic, we have 24 hours in the day. And maybe, I don't know how many years you all have, but they all have a value. And if you're giving your life away, that doesn't say much for you. All right, it says to the creator, what I do has no value. So think about it and rethink it. I'm not wagging a finger, all I'm asking you to do is to rethink it. So let's look at, again, I apologize for those of you who are already very successful and don't need this, but maybe hopefully you'll learn something from it. So let me share my screen. And let me know that you can see that.
Yes.
Good, thank you. So I'm not asking you to go into competition with all of these people in Times Square. I'm asking you to consider how you might get the word out. And let's start right from the beginning. And the beginning is branding. What do I mean by branding? What do you stand for? There's a plethora of hypnotists, regression therapists, and people out there who do spiritual work. What is your particular brand? What do you actually represent? Now, I know that many in this room today are spiritual and the work you do is spiritual. And maybe you'll get people come to you that also want to do some change work. You know, they want to lose weight or whatever it is. But by and large, you have to know what it is you stand for. What do I mean by that? If someone says to you, Coca-Cola, you exactly know what they do and who they are. We know that Pepsi-Cola basically sells the same drink, but their brand is totally different. When people think of Pepsi versus Coca-Cola, they have a different idea of what it can be. The same thing with Mercedes-Benz. That logo means Mercedes. But if I said Mercedes versus Toyota, it wouldn't just be about price. It would be about image and what that company stood for. It's the same with Chanel and Nike. We know exactly what it means because everything they do relates back to what they stand for. Okay. So what is your business? Your particular business? Is it hypnosis or spiritual practice that happens to take dollars, take money for it? Or is it a business that happens to be in spiritual practice or hypnosis? And that's the basic decision to make, because from that decision, every other decision will come. So you need to know where you are. What type of business are you running? And by the way, this question happens with every entrepreneur, every self-owned entrepreneur. So whether you're a florist or a chiropractor or a dentist or a hypnotist or a regression therapist, you have to know if you're in business that happens to do that, or are you a therapist that happens to take money? The mindset is very different. Both are right. Just depends on what you're comfortable with, but you have to know what it is, because your marketing and your messaging will depend on that. Are you adding to or starting a business? I mean, what you're doing right now, are you adding to? By the way, you can see this, right? I'm assuming. The slide says, what is your business? Good. Are you adding to or starting a business? So you already have a clinic and you're adding to something or starting it. Are you full or part-time? How many hours? When? For people who are starting, quite often they piggyback on an existing office, like a chiropractor's office, or they move into a beauty clinic of some sort and they rent a room part-time. And that's okay, but you have to know exactly what it is you are doing and when you're doing it, because there are differences in the way you plan and run each of them. Your main focus for marketing, once you decide on your audience, you need 3 key messages. And those key messages need to be in everything you have: your website, your printed materials, brochures, flyers, or whatever you do. Yes, we still need printed materials, and I'll explain why a little later on. But they all have to answer, those messages have to answer your potential client's question of what's in it for me. In advertising jargon, we call it the WIFM. What's the WIFM here? What's in it for me? All good advertising, you'll start watching commercials differently. Now you understand that. You'll watch commercials, whether it be Domino's Pizza or Mercedes-Benz, and you'll hear they answer the what's in it for me. That's what connects directly with your potential client. What's the overarching offering you'll be focusing on? What's your specialty? Even if you specialize in one thing, as I mentioned earlier, you're going to get clients coming to you for other things, because once they know that you offer hypnosis or a form of trance, even Reiki, they'll come to you for something else apart from spirituality. What are the 3 different ways you can say that message? The client always says, how will this change my life? What's in it for me? Why should I bother contacting this person, going to them and giving them my money? What is it going to give me that will make my life better, richer, fuller? You need to answer that. So if you're starting from scratch, or you're thinking of putting a new offering into your business, what do you do ahead of time, before curtain up, before you launch? Well, you have to know, again, is it full-time or part-time? For instance, if you are a massage therapist or regression therapist or a Reiki master, but you want to add in hypnosis, do you separate them out? Do you make 1 or 2 days for hypnosis and the rest of the days for Reiki because you've got a built-in clientele? Or do you mix them? You have to be very clear in your head, in your timing, and in your messaging about that. You have to allow a marketing budget. And the rule of thumb is 5 to 7% of projected income. to spend on marketing for the year. So marketing includes anything, including if you want going to rent a place to run workshops, that's part of your marketing. So 5 to 7% of projected income. You have to spend money on marketing. There's some free marketing, but mostly you do have to spend some money. Basic stuff. You need a website, at least one. You need email, of course. You need business cards. Yes, today you still need business cards. People think you don't. You can just, text your contact information. No. You need business cards. I'll tell you, anytime I'm traveling before COVID, when they ask what you do at customs, and you go through passport, I say, I'm a hypnotist. Oh, can you help me with my smoking? Or can you help me stop biting my nails? I pull out a business card and give them not one, but 3. Always give 3 business cards, not one, because they will pass on those business cards to their friends. You do need business cards, and we'll talk about why in a moment. Plus, you need flyers and brochures, particularly if you're going to be running workshops. You need a location with easy access that fits your brand. So, for instance, if you're going to be focusing on spiritual hypnosis, it's probably not a good idea to move into an office complex. You might want to move into a bookstore, like somebody said, or maybe a brownstone, or somewhere where you can display your crystals and it feels right. You're working with people who feel they're coming to you for spiritual hypnosis. If you're specializing in pain management, or you're specializing in change management, then think about you can go into a medical building. So your brand goes all the way through to your location and how you decorate your clinic room as well. You need a phone number with professional answering capabilities. Now, why do I say that? Because some people start off with using their cell phone, and that's perfectly okay, as long as you're answering when you're not picking up the phone, sounds professional. I hate to tell you this, but one of my ex-students had their kid answering, and because she thought it was cute. Mummy's busy right now, but if you leave your message, she'll get back to you. Not very professional, because we never know who we're going to get, and we work a lot with professional people, and they want to feel that working with a professional themselves. Okay, you need a social media presence. This is not a maybe. This is a must these days. You need to be on Facebook. You need to be in LinkedIn. You need to be on Twitter and Instagram. And again, it has to fit your brand. Your messaging has to be on brand. And it has to contain your 3 key messages. Of course, you'll need a bank account. By the way, make a friend of your bank manager, because there may be times when you need his or her help. If you're going into overdraft, or you're expecting, to have to put out, or you would need a loan to buy office furniture or expand or whatever, make a friend of your bank manager, make a friend of your insurance broker. You do have an insurance broker, I hope. If you're in Ontario or in Canada, you'll need a GST. I don't know about the States. You may need a tax number, business license, whatever the business of business. Even if you don't feel you're in business, you're just taking money, you need this information. You're going to have to pay taxes. So, yes, you have to pay taxes. And by the way, it's an honor to pay taxes. It's an honor to make enough money that we can help support the people who need it. Okay. So business is business. What do I mean by that? The days you designate for business are your business days. So if you're working part-time and you're working, say, Wednesday and Thursday evenings and all day Saturday, but you have no clients booked for Wednesday or Thursday evening, still use that time for your business. Use it for marketing. Use it for designing new workshops. Use it for making contacts, for networking. Use that time as business time. Start your mailing lists. I do hope you've all got mailing lists. So there's hot, warm, and cold. So let's look at those. So your hot mailing lists are people you know. And by the way, my guess is you probably know more people than you think you know. Everybody you know is on that hot mailing list. So if you haven't started it, start it now, please. You're not going to nag them. You're just going to ask them to support you. And this includes your cousins, your relatives, the family that likes you, not the family that doesn't like you. You can leave those aside. That's probably not a good idea to put them on the list. And people you know, your close friends, colleagues particularly. The warm list of people you sort of kind of know, like your doctor, your dentist, your hairdresser. Don't forget your hairdresser. Hairdressers are great influencers. They know a lot of people. All the warm people, the service people that you use, your garage, anybody that you see occasionally that knows you enough to nod at you and recognize you, put them on the list. All the medical offices near you, close to you, they go on the list. And the cold list are people you would like to have on your list that should know you. So that could be people you want to contact. Could be maybe chiropractors or colleagues in a similar profession, maybe the dentist, your pharmacist, in a similar profession that should be on your list. Okay. You're going to plan workshops. Workshops are the best way of building business. You're going to build them, plan them for the coming year. That's what your handout is for, and we'll get to that very shortly. Visit your colleagues, contact them, doctors, neighbors, influencers. That's where you're going to leave your cards and your brochures, particularly if you're running workshops. If you're having a special workshop or an evening of meditation every month, this is how I started. Every Monday night from 6 to 8, I ran meditation. It was drop-in. But I made sure that all the health food stores had my flyer up. My doctor, my dentist, my hairdresser, the colleagues around us, whether they be chiropractors, massage therapists, Reiki therapists, all knew. And I left cards and brochures with their permission, of course, and they knew about it. You need to plan your marketing program at least 6 months ahead. You need to work 6 months ahead all the time. And if you're starting from scratch, you need to plan pre-launch, launch, and plan ongoing. So here's some ideas for marketing. Your email list and what you can do with it. Viral marketing is a great way of spreading the word. It's called viral marketing. So what you might do is make a flyer for what you're going to do, what's going to happen. You send it out to your hot list and you ask them, please, could you send it out to your friends and other people you think might be interested? That's called viral marketing. If you have close friends or colleagues that will do that for you, like I'm sure members of iBart will do it for each other. I certainly will, and I do it all the time for colleagues, for friends who are chiropractors or massage therapists. If they're having a special workshop or something, I send out for them. Why not? You know, it's a good thing to do, and it spreads good energy. So that's one thing to do. Attend groups that you belong to, whether they be church groups or ethnic groups. When I have students that are Russian or Chinese, I say to them, work those people in your church groups or your ethnic groups. If you're a university grad and you have part of that colleagues and have meetings, associations, all associations, Stay in touch, network. Networking is phenomenal. It pays off. We all like people who like us, who like ourselves. So it's easy to do. Plan a year of workshops, whether it be weight loss, self-esteem, stress management, chakra balancing, or meditation, whatever it is, plan ahead for group workshops. Look for lunch and learn opportunities in large organizations. One of the more successful things I did in the 3rd or 4th year I was in this profession was I contacted the hospital, huge hospital in Toronto called Sunnybrook, where I had my cancer treatments, and I wanted to thank them. So I offered lunch and learn for frontline workers on stress management. They were ecstatic. So I ran a series of lunch and learn at the hospital for frontline workers and on stress management. They couldn't have been more grateful. And that builds business, and it also builds your reputation. So working with hospitals, with doctors' offices, doing lunch and learn, they will love it. But other companies, stress management, habit change, procrastination workshops work really well with corporations. They want the human resources people will book you for that. How to overcome procrastination. All right, I promise you, you'll get bookings. Partner with someone when you'll give your workshops in an allied profession and run the workshop together. So if you're giving weight loss workshops, for instance, bring in a personal trainer, bring in a dietitian to work with you on that workshop. And that way you'll share lists as well, because they've got lists of contacts and you have lists of contacts. So you bring them together, and that'll build your lists and your membership. Give talks and demos anytime you can find them at women's groups, spiritual groups, meetups, bookstores. All associations and all groups are looking for lunchtime speakers. I've given speeches and demonstrations at golf clubs, and they're closing lunches. I don't know the first thing about golf, but I knew the phrase "get a hole in one." So I used that as the lead for my workshop. I mean, you do what you can, right? I have given lunch and not lunch and learn. I've given speeches and presentations and demonstrations and engineer organizations. I know nothing about engineering. It didn't matter. They were intrigued by the idea that the subconscious mind drives us. So they wanted to know more about that. So think about going outside of your comfort zone, both with networking and with giving demonstrations and speeches. Move outside your comfort, because people are fascinated by the idea of hypnosis. What else? Yeah, Google ads and Facebook ads. Be careful with those. A one-timer doesn't do it. When you're placing ads, you need repetition. You need to do it over and over again. The minute you get the word out, you're going to have people contacting you about advertising. Your local paper, your yellow pages, your local radio station, especially if you're in a small town. And by the way, if the rates are good and you can afford it, that's terrific if it's local and small, because you become a local somebody of note, right? So that's good. You get to be recognized locally. Yes, don't price cut. I learned this from I learned this from McDonald's. Yeah, the hamburger people. When I was running a PR company, and they were one of my clients, and I had to go to Hamburger U. I had to go to Hamburger University and learn all about McDonald's and learn how to make one of their hamburgers, their milkshakes, and their fries. I came home smelling like a pickle. But apart from that, I learned a lot. And one of the things I learned, because they're brilliant at marketing, was never price cut. You can do a twofer, but don't discount your offering. What you can do, and what I do, is offer a package deal. If you buy 5 and you pay up front, you get a discount. But don't ever discount to draw in clients, because they will expect that all the time. It's not a good idea, and it devalues your offering, like offering it for free. When people ask for free and they say, well, you know, I'm going to pass on your name, I'm going to talk about you, I say, you know what, I choose my charities. I do offer free, but I choose who that goes to. And you have to be pretty firm about that. People always try to get something for nothing. Okay, now about you. So for the next 6 months, the 9 months, start your blueprint now. So I'd like you to look at the handout. And I gave you this handout as an example. As you can see, for the month of May, all the special days that you have in the month of May. And this, by the way, does not include certain ethnic holidays or religious holidays. So if you add those in, there are also opportunities, some of them. I'm looking at the 1st, May the 1st, School Principals Day. Just think what you could offer against that. You could offer meditation evenings for teachers and school principals who need to de-stress. It gives you a hook to market with. And you get that online in LinkedIn or Facebook, or your local, some areas have local meetup groups online. International Day of Families. How about relationship tools, or again, stress management with relationships? Mother's Day is here. International Harry Potter Day. That would be wonderful to use that as a bring back the wizardry in your life.
That's good. That's good.
Well, it's all here. Greg, it's all here. All we have to do is to use these triggers to think about promotions for workshops, but also promotion reasons. So every January, February, and March, I usually run a series of not necessarily ads, but postings about if you're thinking of letting go of some weight, think about talking to your subconscious about it. Give us a call and we can help. Use these dates as a trigger, and every month has different days like this. I saw one, National Day of Prayer. What a beautiful opportunity that is. How to connect with your higher self, your best self, your soul self. A National Day of Prayer. That's Thursday, the 5th of May. International Day of the Midwife. I would make that the medical profession. I would include nurses and midwives and first responders. I would maybe offer for them a special workshop on how to take care of yourself, how to do self-hypnosis so that you can learn yourself to take care of you. Day of United Nations Peacekeepers. How about having a meditation day or morning that you offer everybody on your mailing list to join in with you, meditating for peace. 31st, World No Tobacco Day. Well, that's a no-brainer. That's quit vaping and smoking. We can help. Right? So these are just some ideas. Back to school. I'm going back to the slide here. Back to school. How about offering a series for hypnosis, a 3-part series on study habits for your teen? Help your teen get back to studying well. Is your teen having trouble studying? Okay, back to school time. Holiday season, every holiday season, Hanukkah and Christmas, it's all about families, and families cause stress and gift buying and all the chaos and crowds in the stores. We haven't had that for 2 years. We've had other stresses, but generally speaking, Christmas is stressful for most people. Stress management, how to enjoy the holiday without stress. All right. So who can you partner with to expand your list? So think about this. Think about all the colleagues that you know that you could partner with that may be in a slightly different role or different profession. Maybe if you know someone who's a personal trainer, maybe you can work in their gym for people for exercise in the spring, letting go of weight or learning to exercise again or get fit again. Think about expand your horizon beyond the tunnel that we all are inclined to live in. How will you use e-marketing to start the process? Your 3 lists. And then what else? So I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to start making some notes. And I'm going to stop sharing because I want to be here just in case you want, we've got more to come, but I just want to be here just in case you want to have questions. But please start making notes. This is important. This is your blueprint. If you're serious about building your business.
We'll go back to gallery so people can ask questions.
Yeah, I've gone back to gallery. Any questions before we continue? Yes, Carol.
So you were talking about social media, and I've seen where many people are getting off Facebook or turned off by Facebook. What are your thoughts about marketing on Facebook?
I think it serves some purposes and it's fairly reasonably priced and doesn't hurt to try. Particularly if you have some Facebook groups in your area. I forget what they're called, community groups, I think, something like that. So you might want to see if there's one of those in your area. Where are you, Carol?
Richmond, Virginia. Do you mean meetup groups?
Some meetup groups, but there might also be a Richmond group of neighbors, like neighbors groups. There's neighbors.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So you could use those to let them know. Not hard sell, but by the way, folks, I'm running meditations on Monday evenings. Would love to see you there. That's all you need to say, right? Things like that. Gentle touching, just let them know. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thanks.
Okay. Anything else at this time? Please write your notes or ask questions if you have any before we go back. This is a blueprint. And as I said, this is very basic stuff. But the brand is important. And then what's in it for me is important. Yes, Tiffany.
I took Google Analytics and Google marketing courses just through their Google platform. And I learned a lot. And I learned about how it's so important to make sure your keywords are crucial in your website and you update it 3 to 6 months frequently, because Google Analytics, the way they look for websites based on content, they look for things. And the more often you change your content, the more likely you're going to change your search engine optimization. And so I learned a lot about that. And I learned about, I think it's called SEMrush, but it's a website where you can see if there's broken links or if there's any issues with your website and how it's showing up in the real world. And you can look, you can do it with any website,
Yeah.
but I'll see if I can find it. I'll put it in the chat.
That would be great. But I'm a great believer in having someone look after my website who knows what they're doing, which isn't me. So for Google Analytics and stuff like that. So, yeah. Anything else? Any comments before we move on? Yes, Joanne.
What percentage do you think, and I'm not in new business, I've been in business for about 12 years, but what do you think is a reasonable percentage of time to spend on marketing versus the other things you're doing, writing, teaching, seeing clients?
It's 24/7.
Mm.
It's 24/7. For instance, yeah, I know Greg's laughing. Well,
True.
I
And
tell you,
I'm crying with the answer.
yeah, no. For instance, what I mean by that, I mean, for instance, when I when I used to go, because I haven't been for a while, to the supermarket, and I'm standing to the cashier and chatting with the cashier, and she said, "Oh, God, I can't wait to get home. I'm so tired." And I say to her, "You stressed out?" Or she said, "Well, I've got a lot on my plate. I'm at school." And I said, "Well, would you like to learn how to relax?" She said, "I'd love to. Give me a call." I hand her my card. That's what I mean by 24/7. That's the difference between being in business that happens to be hypnosis.
Mhm.
If you're in business, you're always building your business.
Mhm.
You're not being pushy, you're being helpful. I mean, I'm not selling used cars or anything, but you know, if there's an opportunity, I take it.
Thank you.
Peter.
Talked about not giving it away or giving it at a discount. Tell us more about how you have been bartering. What sorts of things have people
Good.
done you
Thank you.
in return for the service that you offer?
Thank you. What I do give away, and this pays off very well, are to charities. So for instance, a local food bank might have an evening of music, and they have a silent auction, or the Cancer Society, or one of those charities that have silent auctions. I always give something. I always give a couple of sessions, or I give a book and a couple of sessions, because the people that go, A, have money usually, and they are kind, nice people because they're supporting a charity. But B, they're interested and they bid for these things. And once they bid and bought your session, you may never have met them otherwise. So that way I do that. I forgot your original question. What was it you asked me?
Bartering when you are.
Oh, yes, bartering, yes. Then I say to them, I want you, if you can't do this, please. And I've got a thing about food. I'm one of those people that didn't have a great early childhood. I grew up very hungry. So I always ask them to support the food bank or Second Harvest. I say, I'd like you to make a donation of any type to the food bank or Second Harvest. And I'd like to see the receipt for that, please.
Good.
That's what I do. Now, you may choose something else, but I want them to do something. You know, there was a couple of times in the beginning that I asked someone to help me around the office before I had a foot, and it was a disaster.
Yeah.
So that's no good. Right? So let them do something for somebody else. And if they really can't afford anything, then you've got to volunteer at the food bank, or you've got to do something. They have to give something back. And I have to have some way of knowing that they've done that. Because people who want something for nothing are very good at finessing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so no, I want to see it. Now, on the other hand, I have given scholarships to First Nations women who run women's groups, particularly trauma groups. By First Nations in Canada, it would be, I don't know what you say in US, is it Aboriginal or languages, scholarships for some of my trainings, because I want them to take the blessing of hypnosis and the ability to make change and heal trauma and stuff into their community. So I call them scholarships. I don't call them freebies. I call them a scholarship. Tone. Yeah, it's all in how it's done. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions before we move on? I hope you're making notes and I hope this is helpful. Okay, let's keep.
Talk about
All
the
right.
doctor.
Share screen back. Can you see it? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Good, good. Yeah. I need confirmation because I'm never sure. Okay. Okay. So who can you partner with to expand your list? We talked about that before, about sharing your workshop with other people.
Wait a sec. We don't
I
have
don't
your
see
share
it.
Oh,
screen
did I?
yet.
Did
We
I?
just see you.
I lost. You.
Yeah, we don't have your share screen.
Okay, hold on. I screwed up. Okay. Yes.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Good, thank you. So who can you partner with to expand your list? So think about that. Think about the nutritionists. Think about the personal trainer. Think about maybe a local guru, a Buddhist guru who is an expert in meditation, and you want to bring them in to, lift things up a little. I sometimes use a colleague who she was a midwife and she now does hypnosis for birthing, but I bring her in to talk about how hypnosis works for pain management. It makes an impact. It gives another list, but it also gives another voice and it expands your target audience. So who are the key groups to focus on? Think about your colleagues and the influencers in your community. Who are the influencers? And who are the influencers online that you'd like to connect with? Interesting enough, most people who are influencers, if you call them or contact them or email them and say, I'd love it if you could pop in for 10 minutes for one of my workshops. They'll say, absolutely, if they've got the time. And that gives you a boost. And it also, they let their people know what they're doing. So think about that. Make sure your doctor knows what you're doing. He may not believe in spiritual hypnosis, or she may think it's all woo-woo and rather crazy. But if she knows that you'd also do meditation, that's an in. And then consider how you're going to use e-marketing to start the process and what else you're going to do. Think 6 months ahead. You've got to plan at least 6 months ahead. So what happens if you do no marketing? Nothing happens. Once you've used up your family and your friends, then what? The word has to get out somewhere. And if you've got time, and if you are not in a rush to build your business, then you can take the time for word of mouth. And word of mouth is valuable. I don't underestimate it, because you're pre-sold. But if you don't have the time and you want to build a business and you want to make some money to keep the bank manager happy, then you have to do marketing. So take your time to move forward into success, starting with your brand, your offering, and your target audience. Who are you aiming for? Because who you're aiming for will make all the difference in the languaging you use. For instance, if you're aiming for the business people, then you'll use corporate language. If you're aiming for spiritually inclined people, then you can use that language, which is softer and more feeling. For business people, it's more bottom line driven. What are the results? How will it change my life? Start with them with your email lists and other lists 6 months into your first year. Marketing is 24/7. Unless you want to do this part-time or as a sideline, and that's okay. But just know what it is you're doing. Just be very clear what it is. Whatever you choose, be proactive in your decision. Don't sit and wait. And go for it. Share your light and your knowing. Your light is needed now more than ever. So shine on. And that's my presentation to you, but I'm open for questions. I'm open for answers, suggestions, comments. Wendy, what do you think?
I think it's very good.
There's a but there.
I'm sorry.
There's a but. I can hear a but.
Well, not because of the presentation, just because of me, because I am seriously an introvert, and the idea of some of those things just make my stomach turn. So it's just, okay, I know I have to do this.
I, believe it or not, I also am an introvert, but I learned to turn on,
Yeah.
forget the movie that said showtime.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to, but there's plenty there that you can do as an introvert.
Yeah.
Right? There's a
Yeah.
lot of online marketing, a lot of online networking. There's
Yeah.
a whole pile of networks that you can join. And by the way, talking of networks, go outside the comfort zone. Go into pharmaceutical networking, go into women's groups networking, go into, because they are interesting and interested.
I do have a question.
Sure.
So when you're talking about the social media aspects, do you have to do all of them, or can you focus on, say, 3 of them? 'Cause there are a couple, I really dislike Twitter. So could I do the others and just kind of not do Twitter? Or do you suggest doing
Absolutely.
everything?
Oh, no, you don't have to do everything by any means. I would suggest you maybe start with LinkedIn and Facebook.
Okay.
LinkedIn, as you know, is business driven. So
Right.
you'd have to use the language of business to answer the what's in it for me, especially, I don't know, what's your specialty, Wendy? What are you?
Spirit releasement.
Spirit releasement.
Yeah, my business name is Modern Exorcist, so I probably wouldn't go with the medical field.
No, but you certainly could say something like, if you've ever wondered why you can't move forward, you feel that something or someone is holding you back, I could help.
Okay.
Things like that,
Great, thank you.
Okay. Yes, Tiffany, hi.
I was going to say, there are people out there that can help people with their LinkedIn profiles, and you can drive business just on your LinkedIn profile because people look for professionals that way. And I highly recommend LinkedIn. And really, the other thing is email marketing, like doing newsletters. Yeah, that one. Those are
marketing.
almost bigger than Facebook these days.
Well, viral marketing, yeah.
Yeah.
So what's your background, Tiffany?
Oh, I worked in acupuncture. I did conferences and continuing education, building online platforms for schools and that kind of thing.
Okay.
But I just recently took a ton of marketing classes for online marketing, and I just got all the latest. And it's interesting to see, like, I know people that work for the marketing for Chopra Institute.
Oh,
and
yes.
they're like saying, yeah, like, it really isn't, it is in the email marketing. It is in the more personal, even going back to regular mail stuff is starting to become more popular again because people are just tired of scanning social media.
That's a generalization. And that's, yeah.
Yeah,
And they've got millions to spend. So
true. That's true.
Slightly different. Yeah.
But thank you. I've learned a lot today.
I'm glad. Question. Yes, sorry, Jessica, I wasn't ignoring you. Yeah.
It's okay. You have a corporate background. I have a corporate background that I walked away from, but no, I feel like I want to reach out to some of these people to let them know what I'm doing. It's been a few years, but I've changed so much
Yes,
from when I ran my publishing business.
yes.
So did you do that, Georgina? Did you reach back out to some of your corporate clients to let them?
I did. I chose very carefully. I did. I said, and I started off by saying, you'd never guess what.
That's a good start.
You know, you never guess what. If I asked you what you thought I was doing these days, you know, 1 in a million, you would never guess. And at that time, because this is now 1996, 97,
Okay.
the social media wasn't that strong. So I would pick, I said, you never guess. It was like, you never guess. So I'd phone, leave a message,
Yeah.
and then I'd phone and say, can we talk? You know, because I'd like to tell you what I'm doing. And can we have lunch? Had a lot of lunches, a lot of breakfast, you know, because corporate, we do breakfast, right? A lot of breakfast.
Right.
And
Right. Yeah.
a lot of exercise to work it off. So yes, I did. And by the way, when I started, and I don't know how it is for some of you, if I take a booth at one of the health shows that they put on, you know, people would walk past my booth and make a cross and not avoid my eyes because hypnosis was evil. Right? So I did a lot of early marketing. I did marketing to the medical community. I did ground downs at Universal Health Network. Met with doctors and psychiatrists, and a lot of grinding stuff to change the marketplace. It's better now, and you'd be surprised. If you say you're in doing past lives, people will go, oh, really? I've always wondered about that. And you think, holy shit, I didn't think they'd even care. You'd be surprised.
Well, that's what I want. I'm trying to work on, especially.
Yeah.
I've got some challenges, but
It's a challenge for you. It's not for them.
yeah.
Okay. I promise you, they've changed because there's been so much on TV, so much in movies.
The world's waking up.
Well, the world's changing.
Yeah.
Look at all the movies out there. They're all about other worlds and other times. Some of them are dark, but not all of them.
Right.
I promise you, you'll have a different reaction than you think.
Okay.
Okay. Somebody else, Susan. Yes. Hi.
Your opinion, because I have kind of mixed opinion on Yelp and whether or not you think that's of good use. Do you have Yelp where you are?
We do. I don't use it at all.
Okay. Okay. So I guess you don't have an opinion.
Well, I'm also, to be honest, I'm not that computer savvy. It's all learning on the job. So if I had someone who did my social marketing, maybe that's what they would do. I don't know. But it's not in my collection. It's not in my bouquet.
Yeah. I do have Yelp, and I have Yelp reviews, which it felt grueling to even get those, you know, to find a way to ask and who to ask and without sounding needy or whatever. Right.
Yeah.
And I've had a few people actually find me on Yelp and reach out. Mostly people just look there to see, once they hear about me, to see, oh, what is her reviews like?
Right.
And I did do quite a bit of research on whether or not that would be one way I would want to do advertising. And it seemed I didn't get real good.
Google reviews are better.
Okay.
Get your Google reviews.
Okay. Good idea.
David, you had a question? We don't see your face. Come on, I want to see your face, David. There you go.
I
There
got,
you
I'm
went.
not.
There you went.
Okay, there you go. Sorry. Hi everybody.
Hi.
Hey,
So yeah, I have a question, but also, yeah, the thing is that I'm a software developer and all that, but beside that, I am a life coach, right? So and I'm trying to run my own business as a life coach, but it's more about like healing the past, meditations, Reiki, and all that, right? But when
You
it
do
comes to
angels too, angels as well, right?
angels, exactly, yeah.
Okay.
So when it comes to spirituality, most people, they're expecting you to do it for free. They are kind of like I mean, most of my community is like, oh yeah, but I don't have money, and can you help me, because this is why you're charging for this, if you should be, you know. And so they question you why you're charging if you're supposed to be doing this for free, which is, well, I don't believe that, right? So I this is my job, this is what I do, I have a knowledge, I
Right.
have, you know. But this is what's happening to me. Maybe it's not the common thing, but it's just it happening to me right now. So I don't know if I'm approaching the wrong audience, or how can I change that? Yeah.
Yes, two things. First of all, you are approaching the wrong audience. Secondly, your energy may need changing. You may need to start meditating and doing some self visualization about being a professional. Just imagine if you went, you know, we're lucky in Canada, we don't pay for our medical treatments at all. But in the US, every time they go to a doctor, they pay for it. There's very little that you'd get for nothing. Why should it be you? So I really think you need to think of yourself as someone who has value, and the work you do has value. And ask your angels to stand behind you and guard you in any way that you feel is appropriate. But when people ask you to do it for nothing, say, oh, that's interesting. I tell you what, you pay my rent and I'll do it for nothing.
Yeah, probably it's also the way that I do my marketing, you know,
Okay.
that I'm just getting these people who thinks that it has to be free, right? Or I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I had a couple of calls today, emails today. I was on a spirit seminar yesterday, and about 6 or 7 calls, emails, but 2 of them gave me a long story on email. And when Elle got back to them and said, well, if you want to book Georgina, I can book for you. Elle is my assistant, book for you. And this is the fee, blah, 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 her usual thing. And they wrote back and said, oh no, we don't want to pay, we can't afford it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Try going to your dentist, you know, or anybody.
Right.
Anybody. You have a value, and what you offer has a value and changes lives.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Now, occasionally, there may be someone that comes to you that you feel you want to help. So one of the things you can do is say to them, you know what, we're going to need at least 3 sessions. How about you pay for the first one, and the next 2 I donate for you, or the next one, or every other one I donate, and you pay for every other one. Don't give them half price, just pay them full price, and every other one they pay. And the other one is free. I think part of it, you've got to change your energy.
I agree.
What you put out.
Okay. And how can I do that?
You and I can talk. David is a friend. David is a friend. I'm not going to charge him. He's a friend. Yeah. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Get a session, Jacqueline, get a session. That's true. Yes, Carol, hi.
So how do you feel about creating videos for your promotions, you know, that you can put on your Facebook page, on your website?
Great.
I'm hearing a lot about that lately.
Great. Yeah, great. just do it. Because people like to know people, right? We're in the people business. They want to know who you are, how you sound, what your energy is like, what you feel like. Do they like you? Do they resonate with your energy? Yeah, it's great. Do it.
Mm.
Yeah. And it's easy on Zoom. Just do it. Record it. Mm. Other questions? Yes. Joanne.
Georgina, I have another question. Of the many strategies you laid out, do you use some of them more for promoting your books?
Yes,
Can you
Yes.
talk about that a little bit?
sure. And yes, and I can talk about the book that my agent has just sold, as a matter of fact. Or she's in the process of selling my latest book, which is going to be fun. And I'm going to tell you what it is ahead of time so you can get ready for it. It's called Archaeology of Self.
No,
So,
good,
yes,
good
so
title.
you'll hear about that. I use Facebook to promote my book, books, but the last two, the one on relationships and the one on past lives, I'm going to get more involved with, actually David's help, in TikTok, and what was the other one we were talking about, David? Instagram. I'm not very good on Instagram, and because it needs attention, but I'm pretty good on Facebook ads, and they sell books, particularly the one on relationships. I targeted a lot of social work groups, for instance, a lot of gay groups, a lot of people who have trouble with relationships, like divorcee groups, and that worked well. So you can target your audience on Facebook. That's what I like about it.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? No, good. I hope everybody's happy.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, you'd been happy with a glass of wine. I know you would, but
Now we got to get to work, right, Georgina?
yes, now you've got to work. You've got to plan the next 6 months. Don't wait. Really, the world needs you. I'm not kidding. More than ever. And those of you who run schools, get those students out there working. I hate it when students come in and they learn and they don't use it. They don't do it. It's such a shame.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yep. I thought of an expression that's from the New Testament. Maybe David might have heard this. The laborer is worthy of his hire.
Mm.
That's a spiritual principle.
I like that. Thank you, Greg.
Yeah.
A wise one, you.
I'm
Yeah, really.
just quoting someone else.
Well, at least you attributed it. Quoting God is not a bad idea, actually.
Right. Right.
Okay. Yeah, there you go, David.
And then there's Rumi, let what you love be what you do.
Yeah. And
And if you love this work, you'll do what you have to do to get it out there. That's what I see with my students.
Yeah.
If their heart is in it, it happens.
get paid for it. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Georgina. Bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
you.
Thank you
Everybody,
so
thanks for
much.
Thank
coming.
you.
See you next
Thank
month.
you.
Stay safe. See you next month, everybody.
Hey.
Yes.
Good to see you, Holly.
Thank you. You
Thank you
too.
for everything.